Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Zena Hayashi, the Asperger King, and today we're going to be reacting to the video A Harsh Reality is About to Break Millions Across America by Epic Economists. Let's get into it.
This is the most disturbing and alarming piece of information I have ever had to share. Trump just signed an executive order criminalizing homelessness.
That's insane.
And directing states to institutionalize individuals
oh my God,
with mental
that's
health
insane.
disorders and substance abuse disorders.
Don't, Trump should be put in an institution.
ACLU is all over this. I don't know why this isn't on every single news outlet. Share this information with absolutely everybody and anybody.
He's worse than Hitler.
This is truly unimaginable. The name of this
It's
executive order is
unfathomable.
Ending Crime and Disorder on American Streets. You, of course, can go to the whitehouse.gov and read the entire order. I will briefly go over what it's about, but read the entire order. It's so specific. This is gross.
Yes.
The executive order directs the Justice Department to expand indefinite forced treatment for people with mental health disabilities and substance use disorder, and those living on the street who cannot care.
There are a number of new state laws that are going into effect July 1st, and two of them specifically got a lot of talk earlier this year. At a high level, the state is doing a lot of cutting regulations and shifting responsibility to local governments. Now, the two laws that got a lot of attention and people are going to feel right away are these. The first one is a statewide ban on camping on public property, which directly impacts how we deal with homelessness.
That's
July
not
1st,
good.
it will be illegal to camp or sleep on public land like parks and sidewalks. Law enforcement has to give a warning and then offer connections to services first, but after 48 hours, somebody can be charged with a misdemeanor, which means they could have fines or even jail time. Well, supporters of this are going to say it's just about public safety, getting people access to help, but the real problem here is what the critics are going to say, which is we simply don't have enough housing, mental health services, or shelter capacity to support this approach. Unfortunately, what gets lost in all this is, again, it becomes the local government's responsibility. We're the ones working with families in crisis, and the state is not providing enough help for us to provide those resources to people.
That's horrible.
Plus, and I get it, when it comes to public safety, I really do, but being homeless does not automatically also make you a criminal, and I worry that this law actually does that. Now, the second big law that got a lot of attention is affecting schools, a full bell-to-bell cell phone ban. Starting this school year, students will not be allowed to use their phones at all during the school day. And
they shouldn't even have cell
during lunch and passing periods as well, it will not be allowed. Now, schools get to figure out how they're going to enforce that. Are they going to have just have them keep it in lockers? Are there going to be specific pouches? Whatever the system's going to be. The goal is really fewer distractions, better focus, and a stronger learning environment. I know parents have strong feelings about this, and I understand that both from a safety standpoint and from a simple communication tool for managing hectic family schedules. I feel this one in my house. I'm a dad to a teen and a preteen who have very busy schedules, so even in our house, we're going to be making adjustments on how we plan, how we communicate, and frankly, we're trying to use this as a teachable moment for our kids. Many of us grew up without cell phones. We survived just fine, but I know that was a different time, different cultural and general expectations, especially when we're talking about parents today. The state tends to make policies that sound good on paper, but they don't really work well for real people on the ground, so we'll have to see if this is more of those kind of policies.
You know, they just made homelessness illegal in America.
That's horrible.
That? It's illegal to be homeless, but not illegal to make you homeless. Criminalizing being poor when you are made poor by a criminal system. You're not allowed to not have enough money to pay for your own survival, but they're allowed to make your survival too expensive to pay for. And if you have any blots on your credit record, well, it may as well be a criminal record. You can't rent, you can't get a job, you can't secure housing, you can't get a car, anything. And they talk about China's social credit system. Well, you invented it.
It's horrible.
You've got your social security number around your neck like an iron collar. Everybody in that country has debt collectors chasing after them like bloodhounds after an escaped convict. Well, you know, there's something called the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and that's supposed to protect you. But they don't want anyone to know about it. They want you to think that your only recourse is to go to the government for help. When it's that same government that puts you in debt, keeps you in debt, and is itself in debt. The same government that is bought and paid for by the very predatory, parasitic companies that make life too expensive in America, that make it impossible to get an education
should be illegal
without drowning in debt for the rest of your life. The same government and the same courts that have taken all the rights and protections away from you and given them to corporations and given them to the super rich. They don't want you to even know about your rights under international law.
Louisiana just made it a crime to sleep on the streets. It just made it a crime to be homeless. Our villainous governor, Jeff Landry, just signed HB 211 into law. So now across Louisiana, sleeping outside can get you arrested, can send you to jail, can get you fined, and can get you labeled as a criminal. If the state
That's
actually cared
horrible.
about supporting homeless people, they wouldn't be building a system that forces people to be stamped with criminal records, which is a barrier to getting housing and employment in the first place. So this is the path. Instead of working on making sure that people have access to affordable housing, instead of working to increase funding to shelters, instead of working to make sure people can keep up with the cost of living, instead of helping with living wages or affordable health care or affordable and accessible health care services, they are going to have state-sanctioned punishment of poverty.
That's wrong in so many
Jeff
ways.
Landry's administration.
In the UK, SIM cards and expensive monthly bills are about to become a thing of the past.
I need
Since
to get
free
one of
internet
those
technology
things.
already exists, why keep letting monthly bills hold you hostage?
Starting July 1st, Indiana is officially banning public camping. If you get caught sleeping on public property, you face up to 60 days in jail and a $500 fine.
That's
Someone does have a place to
insane.
sleep. Indiana's official solution is, have you tried jail? Lawmakers also expanded military police powers for the Indiana National
no.
Guard. So if you're keeping score at home, our
That's
state
not good
created
at
military
all.
police and criminalized where you nap, which is less of a legislative session and more of a rough draft for a dystopian Netflix series.
Turned out of the closed-door meeting erupting into chaos. President Trump meeting with Republicans on Capitol Hill, suddenly erupting into a shouting match. The president had suddenly refused to sign a bill supported by Republicans and Democrats that would have helped Americans with housing and affordability. Rachel Scott at the Capitol tonight.
Tonight, chaos in the Capitol. A closed-door meeting between President Trump and Senate Republicans descending
Orange
into
man
a
bad.
shouting match. It came after President Trump abruptly canceled plans to sign a major housing bill, a rare moment of cooperation between Republicans and Democrats on a key issue of affordability.
We just passed something that we're all proud of. 85 votes in the Senate, 385 votes in the House to make housing more available to Americans.
That would be nice.
We all need that. In red states and blue states, Trump blew it up.
The stage
Asshole
was set for the
Trump.
bill signing when President Trump fired off a post, dismissing the legislation as a matter of minor importance, saying he would not
He's
sign it
an
until the
idiot.
Senate passed his
A
own top
stupid
priority,
asshat.
tough new voting restrictions. Republicans blindsided. What did you think of that?
I was disappointed because I thought that this had become a priority.
Soon after the president arriving to meet Senate Republicans.
Are you going to sign the housing bill, sir?
Behind closed doors, sources tell us President Trump unloaded on another topic, Iran, lashing out at several Republicans who have voted to limit his war powers. One of them,
That would be
Senator
good.
Bill
He's
Cassidy
crazy.
of Louisiana, firing right back.
He asked, why would anybody vote for the War Powers Act? As he continued, I said, is that a rhetorical question, or would you like to really know? He said, I'd like to know. I stood and said, you have not told the American people what's going on.
Cassidy acknowledges he lost his temper.
Voices were raised.
Any regrets on anything you said?
No. I'm not going to be bullied when I'm trying to get answers for the American people. Right now, there's just like,
Trump is a big bully.
Publicly, the president brushing it off.
I think we had a really great meeting, and we're very proud of the party. We like our leader. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay.
And David, late today, the president was adamant that he is not signing that housing bill. He is holding firm on his demands. This is something that Democrats and Republicans spent months working on. They know that this issue is important to voters and that affordability will be front and center in the midterm elections. David.
All right, Rachel Scott live up on Capitol Hill tonight for us. Rachel, thank you.
President Trump just blindsided the entire Republican Party. He was supposed to be on Capitol Hill signing a massive bipartisan affordable housing bill this afternoon, and Republicans were on the Hill taking a victory lap.
Let's show the American people what legislating looks like. Let's show the American people how you bring together and do something on a bicameral basis. And we did that. And we did that in conjunction with President Trump and his priorities.
But at the same time, those House Republican leaders were talking to the press about this is what legislating looks like, President Trump posted this to his social media page, dashing their hopes and saying that he was canceling the signing
What
of
an
the very bill
asshole.
they were touting, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. But why? Well, because Trump wants Congress to first pass his Save America voting bill. He said he sees that as a national emergency. Now, the fact is the Save America Act, which would change the way all of us vote in this country and would severely restrict mail-in voting, does not have enough votes from even Republicans in the United States Senate to pass.
That's good.
But Trump hasn't wanted to hear that for months. So he's been threatening to withhold his signature on key pieces of legislation until Republicans cave to his demands. Trump has also said that if Republicans can't get 60 votes necessary to pass the Save America Act, then they should change the rules and should kill the Senate filibuster. So far, he has not been successful on either of those demands.
Good.
But why hold this huge bipartisan affordable housing bill hostage? The same bill that Republicans and Democrats were hoping to campaign on amidst the affordability crisis. Well, that's the confusing part about this move from Trump. Polling shows American voters are extremely concerned about affordability, and they believe Congress hasn't done anything to help. President Trump himself and his administration have been on board with this affordable housing bill for months. In fact, just yesterday, Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt called it one of the most significant pieces of housing affordability legislation.
Housing needs to be
American
more
history.
affordable
And
everywhere.
she then said this was another example of promises made, promises kept. Except it can't be promises kept until Trump actually signs the bill, which, as of this morning,
Sign the
he
bill,
said he
Trump,
would
you
not
big
do
asshole.
without the Save America Act. And this morning, he also tried to paint this affordable housing bill in a negative light to his constituency, saying the Elizabeth Warren-centric housing bill is of minor importance. Wow.
No,
That
it's
doesn't
of
make
major
sense, given Trump's
importance, you
previous support
idiot.
of this very same bill, and given what the press secretary just said about it yesterday. As for the Elizabeth Warren part of this, it's true, she was the co-sponsor of this bill, but you know who else was a co-sponsor of this bill and champion of it? Trump ally, Republican Senator Tim Scott. In fact, just this morning, Scott posted this graphic to his own social media page saying, because of this bill, the keys to the American dream are within reach.
That would be nice.
It's unclear what's going to happen next, but it's very unlikely the Senate is going to pass the Save America Act in its current form. And it's even less likely that Senate Republicans will kill the filibuster. But most Republicans believe the president will eventually sign this 21st Century Road to Housing Act. It's just unclear when. Lastly, if you don't know what's in that housing bill, I did a whole video about it yesterday. It's the video right before this one.
Can I get anything to eat? You know, if you have anything small, I'm so sorry to bother you. I've been asking out here for a little while. Oh, are you sure? I don't want to ask for too much. Are you sure? Thank you so much. What's your name?
My name is Sade.
Jimmy, thank you so much. It's not going to hurt you?
No,
No?
it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Why'd
Everybody needs it.
Yeah, I actually have
That's a nice
$500
lady.
for you. I was just seeing who would
Oh,
help
wow.
me out. I didn't need your help. Jesus loves you so much.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
No, it's not.
Why?
I'm just rewarding the first time person. Is it been more? No, you have to take it all. What's going on right now? Oh.
Oh, poor girl.
You have to take it. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Introducing Clip B. Whatever you can picture, you can generate. Want something wild like a man closes his laptop and transforms into Iron Man? I mean, forget even watching it. Just
Only less than a month, and we gotta be the F out of the shelter. Come spend the day with a 22-year-old mom of 3 living in a shelter. In literally 1 month, me and my kids will have nowhere to go. But on the other hand, at least we have our plane tickets booked for August. Your girl been trying to save as much money as she can and make as much money before we go. So today, my kids are going to their grandma's house, and I'm going to the Plaza. Don't judge me, judge your mammy. And before y'all get to talking, going to the Plasma for me is actually a great experience. I love it all in all. I'm getting paid to do it and also saving somebody else's life. When I had my daughter and my twins, I had to get a blood transfusion. I'll literally never be embarrassed for donating. Anywho, I gotta figure some shit out because I refuse to be on the streets with my kids. We'll still have damn near a month until we leave, so that means we'll be homeless. Like, actually homeless. No roof over our head, no shelter, no nothing. If y'all could do me a favor and start reposting my videos, liking them, and commenting, let's try to get my videos pushed out there so your girl can be able to save and move with these kids. I don't want to be stressing about it, but I really don't have a choice. These months have been flying, and by the time you know it, it'll be Christmas. Just know I love y'all, and I see all the support. If y'all want to see more of me and how my journey is going, go over and follow my Facebook. I'll have it in my bio.
You cannot live here.
And why so?
Seattle is not affordable. We are
Everywhere is not
I used to work as a
affordable.
meat cutter. I made good money, but I still couldn't afford a place to live. You don't get housing. You have Catholic Community Services. They do nothing. You have SHARE. They do nothing. You have all these housing people, and they do nothing.
That's not
They leave
good.
you out there. Right now I sleep in a tent.
Oh,
I'm
no.
62 years old, and I'm too old
Poor
for this.
old lady.
How much does somebody need to be making a month to live well here?
I would probably say you probably need to be making about $200,000 a year.
Holy, how's anybody gonna make that much money?
How much does somebody need to make on a monthly basis just to get by and be able to pay for their rent, car insurance, everything like that?
I think you'd have to make at least $100,000 to live
That's a lot of money.
full life and live on your own and be able to pay all your bills.
Most people don't make that much
Was
money.
passiert, wenn man auf dem Parkplatz eines Supermarkts schläft? Seit mehreren Monaten lebe ich in meinem
Speaking
Auto.
so
Ehrlich
Deutsch.
gesagt hätte ich nie gedacht, dass mein Leben einmal so aussehen würde. Heute Morgen bin ich bei starkem Regen aufgewacht. Ich habe schnell alle meine Sachen zusammengepackt, bevor ich zur Arbeit gefahren bin. Bei der Arbeit weiß niemand, dass ich in meinem Auto schlafe und ich hoffe, dass das auch so bleibt. Nach der Arbeit habe ich mir nur eine kleine Pause gegönnt. Einen Kaffee. Das war meine einzige Mahlzeit heute. Viele finden das traurig, aber jeder Euro, den ich spare, bringt mich meinem Ziel ein Stück näher. Danach bin ich ins Fitnessstudio gegangen. Obwohl ich fast nichts habe, gebe ich den Sport nicht auf. Er ist das Einzige,
I don't
was mir hilft,
understand
stark
what
zu
he's
bleiben, wenn alles
saying.
schief läuft. Nach dem Training habe ich geduscht. Für ein paar Minuten fühlte es sich fast so an, als hätte ich wieder ein normales Leben. Mein Ziel ist immer noch dasselbe, mit sozialen Netzwerken erfolgreich zu werden. Viele sagen mir, dass es unmöglich ist. Trotzdem hat mein letztes Video bereits über 50 Kommentare. Mein nächstes Ziel sind 100 Kommentare und mein größter Traum sind 100.000 Follower.
18 years old, married, no degree, no 9 to 5, and I'm exactly where I want to be. Yes, I got engaged at 18, married at 19, I didn't go to college, I don't plan to, I don't have a degree, I don't have a job, and I'm not getting one.
It is also one argument away from being homeless. I'm not trying to down the stay-at-home moms or the traditional wives. I'm not trying to down any of you guys. However, what I am telling you is what I know and what I have seen firsthand. Go back, I was friends with someone, and she was married to a man who was the AVP of a company. He did very well for himself, and he made roughly $250,000 a year.
Wow.
She did not pay a single bill. One day they got into an argument and divorce was brought up, and he got pissed. He took her car, he cut off her phone line, he cut her access to the bank accounts, and because
That's
she had
a
no money
bit
and no income,
excessive.
he used that as a way to have full custody over the kids. He, yes, weaponized custody of the kids to have control over her, and it worked. Because of that,
Oh, well,
she only had
women
two
do
options.
that
She
all the
throw her
time
kids away
to
and go live
men.
her life, or she stayed with this man, and she chose to stay with this man. And can you blame her? And then when she finally got a job and
Not
moved out,
really.
she found herself broke as the fuck because she was not used to paying all of those bills by herself, and in this economy, it is not doable. There were many times where I had to loan her money just to cover things like rent and pay for things for her kids. She was not used to managing credit cards or anything like that, so her credit score tanked. And
Oh,
he started
no.
burying, and I mean burying her in legal fees. All of things that he could easily afford, but she could not afford any of these things. So I am telling you now, this is not the life that you think it is. You should always have some type of income, and you should always have a backup plan.
Indeed.
If you aren't going to get a job, at least get an education.
Slept in my car for 3 weeks before anyone
Oh,
noticed.
no.
Not because I wanted to, because there was literally nowhere else to go. I aged out of foster care at 18. No family, no savings, no plan anyone gave me.
Oh,
All
no.
I needed was a chance.
Poor guy.
A room, a key, someone who said, "You matter, be that someone." $13 a month.
That's it.
It's official. There is no state in the U.S. that you can live and afford a 2-bedroom apartment if you're making minimum wage. Thanks to minimum wage no longer covering rent anywhere in America. And we're not
Same
talking
here in
about
Canada and everywhere else in the world.
Basic 2-bedroom apartment, you now have to make an average of $32 to $35 an hour just to cover the costs of rent. Wait, I thought there were certain states in America that you could live fairly affordable. Once upon a time that was true, but now even the 10 most affordable states in the U.S. average price for a house over $200,000.
Oh my God.
Not in the U.S. Minimum wage employee would now have to work over 100 hours per week just to afford a modest 2-bedroom apartment, and that's if the rent is fair. The average rent cost being $1,800 a month. Breaking down those numbers to mean that you need to earn an average of $34.60 an hour. Most minimum wage employees would need to make 5 times their current salary just to afford to have a place to live.
5 times is a lot.
Republican centerpiece budget law is projected to cut $186 billion in federal spending on SNAP over the next decade. But it's not only about funding cuts. The new law changed eligibility criteria, like raising the age limit for work requirements from 54 to 64 and increasing the amount of documentation required to enroll. Since then, every state has seen a decline in people enrolled in SNAP.
Oh no, that's not good.
Where participation has fallen by 51%, according to some estimates. And those who are still eligible are receiving much lower benefits and often facing longer reauthorization times. Here's what 27-year-old Presley Nassis told us about the experience. He's a SNAP recipient, has a chronic illness, and works 2 jobs.
That's unacceptable.
I went from having a little over $200 a month for groceries from SNAP funds to having absolutely nothing for 3 months. I lost weight. I ate less. I had 1.5 meals a day instead of 2 or 3.
I've done that before.
I pinched pennies. I saved food from the jobs I work at where they have free snacks. I took things home. And then when I was recertified, they renewed me for a significantly lower amount. So I now get $50 a month.
Oh my goodness,
So for more on the
that's
state of food
unacceptable.
assistance in America, we are joined now by Sarah Naomi Bleish. She's a professor of public health policy at Harvard and previously worked at the USDA during the Biden and Obama administrations. Thank you so much for being here. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins and others in the Trump administration have been celebrating this decline in SNAP benefits, arguing that it's happening because the economy is better, they argue, that wages are getting better, and that they're rooting out fraud. How accurate is that?
So I would say that that's not accurate, and thank you very much for having me. So there are 3 main reasons why SNAP caseloads would decline. One is that the economy improves, since SNAP is designed to get smaller when the economy gets better. But the economy has not measurably improved since H.R. 1 passed in July of 2025. And we can all probably agree that affordability, including high costs of food, remain an enormous challenge for families in this country. Another reason SNAP caseloads could decline is that the rules change, and as a result, eligibility is constricted. That has happened. There are stricter time limits, meaning that folks have to prove they are working 20 hours a week or 80 hours a month to receive benefits. And the number of people subject to those time limits has gone up a lot, and that greatly increases the paperwork burden, since each month individuals have to document their hours, and then the state has to certify it. And the third reason that SNAP caseloads could decline is that states take actions which contract eligibility. So states face an enormous fiscal penalty if they don't get their payment error rates under control. So that refers to how much a person is under or overpaid for their monthly SNAP benefits. As a result, some states, like Arizona, are being overzealous in their implementation of the rules, making it much harder for eligible people to obtain or maintain benefits. And at the same time, most states, including Arizona, are understaffed. So they lack the capacity to process all this paperwork. And so when a person is applying for the first time, or recertifying, or confirming their hours worked to comply with the time limit, There's a 30-day deadline. Even if an eligible person submits all the required information on time, if the state does not process it by the deadline, that person is automatically removed and has to start the process all
Oh my
over
God,
again.
that's insane and
What about the argument about
unacceptable.
fraud that they make? That this is, the declining numbers are because people who should not be on the system are out of the system.
That's good.
So fraud is actually very low in the SNAP program. It's about 1.6%, which is actually low relative to other federal safety net programs. And the new rules actually don't target fraud at all. They're targeting payment error rates, which is, again, referring to how much someone is over or underpaid for their SNAP benefits. And so these changes will have no impact on fraud rates, which are very low already in the SNAP program.
That's
There are
good.
other people who argue that this decline is also a sign of just a return to normalcy post-pandemic, that the pandemic caused all of this incredible need in the country. SNAP responded, but now we are
Goddamn
moving
COVID.
back to a more normal period of life. We talked to Jack Salmon. He's at the conservative Mercatus Center. Here's how he described this.
The SNAP program it tends to be pretty cyclical. So what that means is during economic crises like we saw in 2008, 2009, when the unemployment rate goes up, we see that program participation also goes up with that as families struggle more during times of economic strain. What then happens after the crisis, as the unemployment rate comes down and the sort of business cycle improves, we then see the SNAP numbers come down as well. But following the COVID pandemic, it remained elevated for quite a few years, really through the end of 2024. And I think now we're seeing somewhat of a sharper return to normalcy.
What do you make of that?
Good.
Return to normalcy?
So this is not a return to normalcy because it is true that
Oh,
SNAP
no.
caseloads are going down, but they're decreasing for the wrong reasons. They're not decreasing because all of a sudden we have a much stronger economy. They're decreasing because what we're seeing is that eligible people are leaving the program because it's become too difficult to document and to maintain their eligibility. And that is deeply concerning.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better,
No, I'm not gonna
contribution
donate.
today.
Fuck that shit. I don't have money to do that.
Want to buy and ship goods from the U.S.? With My U.S., it's easy.
This is what food insecurity can look like in the United States, the largest economy in the world. A long line, 3 lanes wide, wrapped around St. Mary's Food Bank in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh,
in the
wow.
past year, nearly 500,000 people lost SNAP benefits in the state, the steepest decline in enrollment in the
That's
country.
not
This
good.
comes after the One Big Beautiful Bill Act
Big Mac.
restricted who in the U.S. qualifies for food stamps.
Land whale.
Add to that inflation and higher gas prices, and now more Arizonans are relying on food banks and food pantries as their main source of food, like Miriam Flores, a mom of 7 in Phoenix.
I stopped eating myself so I could feed my children or save food for someone who didn't have enough.
Flores said she comes to the Society of St. Vincent de Paul's family dining room nearly every day for food.
Yes, it's hard. There are nights of crying, nights of not sleeping. And I lose sleep at 2 a.m. doing the math. Deciding what to pay for and what to put off until later.
Reuters couldn't independently establish Flores' benefit status. The White House said that, quote, President Trump is strengthening SNAP by ensuring these programs are sustainable for future generations, adding that his mandate is to, quote, eliminate runaway spending across the federal government. The USDA told Reuters that enrollment in food stamp benefits is down nationwide, and they say that's due to several factors, including work requirement reforms and initiatives to expand access to employment services, education, and case management. Cindy Bernardo, who runs the family dining room at St. Vincent de Paul, told me she's seeing a lot of families struggle.
The problem is, not only did they lose their SNAP benefits, but they also don't have enough money to get gas to get here, to get the food that we have.
Then walk or take the
it's like
bus.
a double whammy for them.
Food banks were never intended to be your sole stop along the way when you're food insecure. Food banks were intended to be supplementary to other programs, other helps that you might get. So to see people relying on food banks as their primary place for groceries just means that people are getting less food And that's very distressing because I don't know if you've ever been hungry, but I was last night.
I've been
and I wasn't much
hungry.
good until
I've
I
been
had some-
starving too.
Lo miro como una tortura. Son noches de llorar, noches de no dormir, de que se me va el sueño a las 2 de la mañana, sacando cuentas, decidiendo qué se va a pagar, qué cosas voy a dejar para después.
So many of them have lost their benefits and they have reapplied, and most of them can't even get like an answer to their questions. They're just trying to get answers. Others just have never heard back and they just haven't been re-upped, so they're having to wing it every day and try to feed their families. They need to
Horrible.
be seen as human beings, and the whole family needs to be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Did you know that the same billionaire tech bros that are helping ICE surveil and harass communities are part of the massive increase in laws that make it a crime to be homeless?
For years, the Cicero Institute, created by billionaire Palantir co-founder and tech bro Joe Lonsdale, has been pushing laws that focus on arresting and ticketing people simply for being homeless.
That's horrible. That should be illegal.
Treatment, forced labor, and detention camps.
That's horrible.
Policies that have directly led to the harassment, jailing, and even death of homeless people.
They're worse than Hitler.
Cicero is deeply connected to the prison industry and is using their resources to lobby around military spending that Joe Lonsdale profits from. On top of that, Lonsdale funds Trump and other politicians, many of whom spread his anti-homeless agenda.
Cicero has been influencing lawmakers from local government all the way to the White House. In 2024, they asked the Supreme Court to allow cities to arrest and ticket people for being homeless. Since then, hundreds of anti-homeless laws have been introduced, over 300 have passed, and homelessness has only gotten worse.
Of course it's gotten worse. It's not that complicated.
I want taxes to be used for housing and healthcare and
Yeah.
Cicero doesn't just promote aggressive anti-homeless policies. It also pressures cities to take money away from real solutions like housing and supportive services.
That's horrible.
Proven over and over again to be the best way to help people exit homelessness.
Even though we all know housing and services are the real solution, Cicero's influence is working.
In July 2025, President Trump issued an executive order pushing states to treat homelessness as a crime.
He's worse
He also
than
tried to
Hitler.
shift funding away from permanent solution towards failed strategies. Trump's policies echo exactly what these tech billionaires have been pushing for years.
Now, inspired by Trump, Utah wants to build a massive homeless detention camp.
Billionaires are the last people who should be shaping policies on homelessness. They don't know what it's like to have to choose between feeding their families or paying rent. They don't do the work on the
Indubitably.
ground to see that housing and supportive services are the only real solutions to homelessness.
You can stay
Indeed.
informed about the criminalization of homelessness and learn about opportunities to take action in your community by subscribing to the Housing Not Handcuffs campaign at housingNotHandcuffs.org/join.
It's so frustrating because we all know that the solution is
This is so silly.
In January, we revealed Velma to the world. Developers everywhere wanted access. Our email...
So you mean to tell me that a church who's actually trying to get it right is actually being fined $1,000 a day for sheltering people who are unhoused?
That's insane. That's unjust. That's horrible.
You're being filmed.
So a church right now in Ocean City, Maryland is actually being fined $1,000 a day for opening its doors to people who are experiencing homelessness. Not for causing harm, not for turning anyone away, not even for preaching messages that are contrary to how they're actually living, like messages of love but hating their neighbor.
They said you did it to one of the least of these, who are members of my family. You did it to me.
The city actually showed up and they're issuing citations, and they're going to do this every single
Why
day.
do they have to do that? That's not right.
There's 1,000 every day.
The number to City Hall is 410-289-8221. Would everyone please let City Hall know what they think about this second day $1,000 fine to the church?
And Matthew 25 actually says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was a stranger, you welcomed me. Whatever you did to the least of these, you did unto me. So I have a serious question. What exactly are people experiencing homelessness supposed to do? When the church can't even be the church, to people it's called to be the church too. My name is Dr. Tim Sesser. I'm a writer, public scholar, and community leader, and I just want to keep you informed. Peace.
A person of faith should need permission from the government to practice our religion in a peaceful, helping way.
That's Lance Brace, the founder of an Orthodox Christian ministry, and he is suing Phoenix. His lawsuit
Good for him. I hope he wins.
Religious freedom and free speech. The regulation bans free food distribution and medical treatment events in Phoenix parks.
That's
without
horrible.
permit. And to get a permit, the applicant has to provide insurance and indemnification, and the city will only provide 2 permits per park per month.
That's
Brace's
insane.
lawsuit says the ordinance treats religious activity different than secular activity. His filing points to the ordinance's language targeting groups with charitable or similar humanitarian purposes, but exempting from its permitting requirements family events such as celebrations, weddings, meals, or reunions or informal gatherings of family or family friends. Before the council passed this ordinance, Brace told them how he believed it would limit his religious expression.
This ordinance places an undue burden on our ministry and will make it functionally impossible to continue. In the Orthodox Christian faith, feeding the hungry is called almsgiving. It is not optional. It is a core religious practice and has been carried out in public spaces for millennia.
Now, in response, the city says that well-intentioned people feeding the homeless at parks was displacing other park users and leading to litter, open drug use, damage to city property, crowds, plus
It's
noise.
a shame that
They
the
said
homeless
competition
people
emerged
make a mess
between
of
residents
everything.
And what the city called more
It's
traditional park uses,
disrespectful.
like children's play, youth sports, adult recreation, and family outings. Regarding constitutionality, attorneys for the city said nothing in this ordinance draws a line between secular and religious activity. Instead, they said the distinction was between public and private gatherings. Now, to the extent that religious activities are affected, they said it's only incidental. They noted that the ministry could continue to provide water and Bibles and pray with individuals. And they argued that providing food in this case was conduct and not expression, therefore not protected by the First Amendment. My name's Taylor Seeley. I write about First Amendment issues for the Arizona Republic. I will continue to follow this case. Read more about it at azcentral.com.
I really try to keep this page as a safe, encouraging, inspiring place for magical practitioners. But I just found out that my home state of Louisiana has pretty much just reinstated slavery.
Oh no,
this is
not
something
slavery.
We need to talk about. This is something we need to put energy towards. I don't know, do something about. I don't even know what to do about this. But it is now illegal to be homeless. And if you are found sleeping on the street, you can go to jail for 6 months or pay up to $500 fine. But your other options are you can go to rehab for 12 months or check yourself into a mental hospital. But the thing is, the state's not paying for that. It's not coming out of their pocket, so you have to pay for that. So tell me, how is someone that can't afford to live going to pay for a 1-year stay in rehab?
1 whole year in rehab, that's
if you can't
insane.
pay, you can do unpaid labor. That's called
That's
slavery.
wrong. That's slavery.
That's called slavery. And when you get in the system, how do you get out? You're just magically supposed to come on to all this money? Like, how do you get out? And I also want to say, not everyone homeless is on drugs.
Well, a lot of them are on
It's expensive
drugs.
to live. And all of us that have homes, as far as I'm concerned, are really, really blessed and lucky. It's getting harder out there. Be safe. Look out for each other. Send help.
Watch how this cop arrested an innocent man for simply napping in his own truck using charges so fake. The court threw every single one out.
What's going on? You got anything to drink today? You got any kind of medication or anything?
Long drive ahead. Sleep down the road.
I've tried to ask you a matter of simple questions so I can conduct my investigation, and all you want to do is be difficult.
You're being difficult. I was minding my own business, and you're bothering me.
I can put you through a couple of standard field sobriety tests.
We can go to the jail and we can do this in front of a judge.
yeah.
There actually is a law against sleeping in public.
Really?
And will you comply with the field sobriety test or not?
Or what? Is there a supervisor available?
You don't have a constitutional right to speak to a supervisor anyway.
I think we should just go to Mays County Jail.
That's insane.
Obstruction at this point, but I feel like he's intoxicated now, otherwise he wouldn't be passed out behind the wheel of his vehicle.
I wasn't passed out, I was
That's
asleep.
insane.
Turn around.
Crazy cop.
Turn around. We're done.
You didn't answer any of my questions. You just asked more questions and why I needed to know, and I tried to explain it to you. So we'll argue about it in court. That's fine.
Well, that's it for today's video, everyone. Please like the video, comment, and remember to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. Thank you everybody who's already subscribed to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Peace out. See you in the next video. Bye.